Hey, what's going on, guys? Part 3 to the discussion of Zoro versus Sanji, who is definitively stronger, looking back into the manga, getting the information, getting the facts, getting the information we need to draw a conclusion, a concrete conclusion, an inarguable conclusion. So let's take a look back at the last part and summarize kind of what was said towards the end of it. At the end of part 2, I made an arguable claim, but close to an arguable claim, that Zoro took another step out against Sanji at the end of the Alabasta arc, and I provided proof with the manga, as will be the reoccurring theme in these discussion videos. So,
well, it's the pitch black nimbus coming to rain on your parade.
The Skypea arc is kind of tricky to deal with, and it requires a little bit of patience to kind of analyze what's going on. We start off with Sanji. Sanji. Well, where is Sanji? Let's play that game. And of course, I said that in the previous parts, that we're playing the game of where is Sanji? In this arc, where is he? Well, Sanji's playing his pivotal role, his supporting, fighting role, that kind of balance between the two in this arc. A good example of it, I'll get to that in the last episode of this discussion theory. However, we also do see Sanji doing some things. So, what are the things that we can highlight? Well, the first thing is him taking an impact dial blast. Now, we don't know what kinetic energy was stored in that impact dial, how strong it was. However, considering that it was wielded by a priest, we can assume that it was pretty powerful, stronger than a normal impact dial. Can we assume that? Can we give Sanji the benefit of the doubt? Please, because in this arc, there's not a lot to draw from. So, we're going to assume it. Considering that a priest was wielding it, even though we don't know concretely, let's give him that benefit of the doubt. He takes on that hit, and it does blast away Sanji, and this is Sanji we're talking about. This is not Usopp, this is not Nami, this is not Robin taking an impact dial blast. This is Sanji, the one and only, the man himself, extremely powerful superhuman Sanji, taking a blow and being blown away from it. So we can assume that it was a pretty powerful impact dial blast, and he does survive it. Also, he does kind of come in with the intelligence, staying in the background, letting Luffy come through, and then coming in at the end to deal the final blow with Luffy. Now, can I say that there was some substantial experience gained from that combat, gained from that fight? No, because it was a 2v1. Did it need to be a joint effort? Do I think Luffy or Sanji could have taken him down? Probably. But we're not here to say probablys, we're here to say concrete facts. So, what is the facts? 2v1 situation, we can't really count it towards anything. Except for the impact dial blast, that was a little bit impressive. Then, Sanji gets taken out by Enel on the ship from an electricity blast. Now, of course, that's understandable because Enel was on a different level at this current point in the story compared to the Straw Hats. He was also in an environment that he was used to. He was at an extreme advantage. So, given that case, what can we draw from his first confrontation with Enel? Well, he's able to survive an electricity blast. We don't know how much watts or how much energy was contained in that electricity blast, but we do know that it came from Enel and that it was strong enough to knock Sanji out for the almost complete duration of this arc. So he survives that, even though he does take a nap, he does survive it. So again, coming through with some durability. Then, the last thing Sanji does is he takes God's judgment. Whoa, okay, so how strong is God's judgment? Well, we don't really know, but we can assume that it's pretty damn powerful if the title is God's judgment. God's judgment. So it was probably not Enel's most powerful attack, but we can say at base form Enel, it was probably one of his most powerful attacks. It was called God's judgment, a singular blast. We saw the circumference of that blast. It was huge. It was immense, and it flies past the ship. We see that it beams out past the ship into the skies. I mean, it was a huge attack, and Sanji's just with a cigarette. I was just gonna ask you for a light, my boy. Why are you blasting me? You don't have to do all that. Come on now. That was hype. That was real. And that was Sanji, again, showing us why he is powerful. His durability is, of course, superhuman. He takes on a huge blast. So, no fights for Sanji. No physical feats in terms of physical strength. No speed. However, durability this arc, Sanji comes through and get some business done, get some work done. Not much, but granted, what he does do is hype and is worth highlighting. Now we get to Zoro. Zoro puts in work this arc. Let's be real and let's be honest with ourselves and the story. We're reading the same story and we see what's going on. Zoro first has a confrontation with Braham. Now, here's the thing with Zoro's fight with Braham. I don't think that if they were on the blue sea, if they were in any other setting, that Zoro would have had that much difficulty with Braham. However, Zoro is in an environment, just like the rest of the Straw Hats, where he is at an extreme disadvantage. I think that's kind of what's being implied here, is that even though the Straw Hats were powerful at this point, they were put in a situation where they were completely the underdogs just because of the environment. They were playing on away turf, and on away turf that they were unfamiliar with and that most people had no knowledge of. So everything was new. And Zoro kind of hints at that because he does say, I'm being stupid right now. I'm being speed blitzed. I'm being attacked from left to right. I'm being completely on the defensive. And it is understandable, and you do have to be hard on yourself in that survival situation to adapt, to get better, to be able to overcome it. However, we can understand Zoro in this situation because they were playing on away turf that was completely out of the breadth of their imagination. They couldn't have known how difficult it was going to be to fight in this environment with the dials and with the clouds, the cloud roads that weave in and out, the environment in general, the trees, how tall they are, how to fight in that kind of situation. So, yeah, I think that's where most of the difficulty comes with the fight with Brahm. It's kind of like a warm-up. It's kind of a mid difficulty fight. Very middle of the road difficulty fight for Zoro, because we do see him kind of do only really two things that we can highlight. The first thing he does is he jumps from a huge height. I'm talking that, where you at, Zoro? I mean, he was up there in a tree and he jumps down, and he doesn't do the parkour roll. He doesn't get down on the, you know what I'm talking about, right? Maybe I should play a little bit of a clip so you can understand the, the Assassin's Creed roll. He doesn't, or does he do that in Assassin's Creed? Anyway, it's not the point. In parkour, when you jump from a very high area, you can't just land squat style like Zoro does. You gotta roll, you gotta tuck and roll, you gotta absorb the energy and use the momentum to your advantage. So what does Zoro do? He jumps from that height and he lands as if he was jumping from a height of 2 feet. Man's about to break his ankles. But it is very telling of his physical strength. Oda does highlight his face in that moment. I mean, he's like, he gets down and he ultra squats. He gets down, boom, and you see that he absorbs the entirety of that impact, and you see that it is not sitting well with Zoro. We see it in his face. That was extreme, and I think that's a good indication of how strong Zoro really is. Of course, we knew that he is just absurdly powerful because he was able to lift a house in the last arc. However, him doing that ultra squat, come on now, come on. So, yeah, I wanted to highlight that because Oda highlights it, so obviously it's important. Zoro is doing them ultra squats. Then, Zoro does the 36-pound cannon. Now, this is the first time we see him using a melee weapon as a kind of a gun, as a cannon. And it's impressive. It's a new move. It's something that we haven't seen in the story done before, and Zoro just kind of pulls it out of nowhere. What has Zoro been training for this? Where it's kind of hype. It is hype, so we're not going to get into the hype, and we're just going to say that it is indeed impressive. He is blasting that man away, and I think he does do it one sword style, but I am not very sure at this point, as speaking into the camera at the moment. So, but I think he does do it one sword style, and that's why it's called the 36-pound cannon, when he does the whoosh and the dragon tails and the phoenix spin, whatever it's called. Very impressive, very good move by Zoro. Then in his second confrontation, here's where things get tricky, okay? Here's where things get tricky, because there are 5, I think, opponents, main fighters in this arena where Zoro is, and so it's kind of confusing and distracting for not only Zoro, but for us as readers, because we don't know at what disadvantage or advantage he was at, what really played into the victory. We do know that Zoro was kind of going one-on-one with Omu the entirety of the time. That's why we can solidly say that his confrontations with Omu in this situation are valid, good ways to pull feats of strength. However, there are other players. There's Genfall, there's the big-ass snake, there's who else was there? Holy the dog. There was, what's that dude's name? Well, Omu himself. There's Zoro. So, and Wiper. That's the dude's name. And Wiper. So they're all there. I think that's 6 players, including Zoro, all in that really confusing kind of situation. And then there's other fodder characters kind of coming into the fray. Another thing that's really important to notice is that we don't know how much Genfall was helping Zoro at this point in time, or we don't know how much Wiper was really helping, because we don't really see the entirety of what goes on. We see most of it. We see about 95% of it. But that little bit of a benefit of that little bit of a doubt that I have, that little bit of a 5%, because it's such a confusing environment, is why I'm hesitant to call Zoro's fight with Omu a one-on-one, even though it kind of was. But we do see him going one-on-one in this fight. We do see Zoro say, Omu's sword is very powerful, it is very strong. So if Zoro says that something is powerful, or Zoro says is admiring or respecting his opponent's strength or a sword's strength, we can assume that it's pretty damn powerful. Can we say that? Can we not disrespect Zoro right now? Are you disrespecting Zoro? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't disrespect none of the Straw Hats, please, please. So yeah, we do see that Zoro does state that Omu's sword is powerful, and we do know that the priest Omu was indeed probably the strongest priest. Now, is that stated for concrete fact? No. But what is stated is that there is a 0% survival rate of the Trial of Irons, which is his trial. So I think that contextually, we can assume that he was the strongest priest, and considering that he is the last priest to go into a confrontation, to go into a fight. So, Zoro going up against the strongest priest. Can we say that? Don't disrespect the priests now. Don't disrespect the trials now. Okay. Alright, cool. Okay, so Zoro goes up against Omu, and it's kind of a back and forth with Zoro being a little bit more on the defensive. However, Zoro just... Come on now. Zoro just one-shots his opponent, no problem. There was no issue. Hey guys, I'm editing this right now, and I got a little hype when I said he just one-shotted him. He won, no problem. I'm going a little bit crazy because roll the picture. In my folder, I do have an instance where Zoro is kind of having difficulty trying to overcome his opponent. It was not no problem. Okay, so. Zoro came in, and it is very important to highlight. Now let's get your highlighters out. It is very important to note that Omu had observation haki. This man had observation haki, and Zoro still took him out one-shot style. And I think that's what puts Omu at a level that we can say that it was a low to high, like in the high difficulty range, it was kind of like that low tier. Because he did have observation haki, he did have a strong sword, which was stated by Zoro, and he did have Holy. Now, Zoro does only have like one little instance where Holy's attacking and he's dodging, which is why I kind of can gather that this was a very distracting environment for him to be fighting in. However, it is mainly a one-on-one between him and Omu, and at the end, Zoro just, and how does Zoro see Omu through that wall? There is a wall in between them, and Omu does have observation haki. He doesn't have like future sight observation haki, but he should be able to know where Zoro is. And Zoro just straight up one-shots him right through that wall. Boy, come on. Oh man, Then Zoro falls from the plateau to the Golden City. It is kind of redundant that Robin has to say a normal human wouldn't have been able to survive that fall. Obviously, we knew that already. It's kind of a little bit redundant. We know that, even though that is a far distance to fall, we know that Zoro is indeed a very powerful superhuman. So there's no need for Robin to come at us with that redundant statement of, oh, a normal human wouldn't have been able to solve that. It's Zoro! I guess it was kind of Oda being like, yeah, that was a big fall, and how did Zoro survive? But we knew he was superhuman. Oda, don't worry about it. We know. We're smart. We get it. We get it, Oda. You don't have to explain every little thing to us. So that's why I find it kind of redundant. At the end of this arc, Zoro takes on a blast from Enel in the form of kind of an animal, a wolf. I remember that. I'll put up pictures always up, of course. And that is kind of impressive considering that he just had 2 fights, and then he takes on an energy blast from Enel, and then it knocks him out. So that's kind of like, all right, that's the end of Zoro's durability. That's the end of Zoro's fight. That's the end of Zoro's push. However, it isn't, because after taking a little bit of a nap, Zoro wakes up, does a little bit of a damage to the beanstalk, and then takes on another energy blast from Enel. So durability, and then survives, of course, that's obvious. So durability from Zoro, I mean, huge feats right there. Huge feats for the fact that there was 2 fights and then 2 energy blasts from Enel. That being that is the end of Zoro's confrontations and Zoro's feats, the entirety of the Skypea arc. Let's get to the conclusion. So, Sanji. Huge feats of durability. Impact dial, being blasted from Enel twice, one of which being God's judgment. So, obviously, huge feats of durability. However, I do think that Zoro and Sanji took about the same amount of damage for the entirety of the arc. Now you're saying, oh, because God's judgment was hype, that might cloud your vision and make you see like, oh, God's judgment was on that next level shit. Yeah, it was, definitely, and it is hype. However, you have to look at Zoro's accomplishments accumulatively for the entirety of the arc. Zoro, 2 fights, 2 energy blasts. That you're telling me that doesn't equate to what Sanji withstood? Sanji took a nap. Sanji got blasted, took a nap, and then took another blast. Zoro was putting in work. So I do think that the damage they took was equal for the entirety of the arc. And I do think... No, I don't think. I know that Zoro put in more work the entirety of the arc. How many fights did Sanji have? 0. Absolutely 0. However, how many fights did we see Zoro have? 2. 2 fights. That is 2 more than Sanji. That is 2 more opportunities to have obstacles, to have growth in any of the little subcategories of general strength. And we do see Zoro kind of exhibiting a little bit of all of them, working on all of them. So, yeah, I mean, it's... Where is Sanji? I hate this game. I hate it so much, and it makes me sad, because I like Sanji a lot. I really do. I am unbiased. I kind of like Zoro and Sanji equally for different reasons. I kind of can relate to Sanji a lot more because we don't look alike, but obviously he's a blonde boy, you know, he's tall, he likes to cook, and I like Zoro. Everyone likes Zoro. Come on, it's Zoro. It's Zoro. That's like his catchphrase from us, from the fans. It's Zoro. So I love these 2 characters so much. That's why I'm kind of really sad about Sanji. But let's pay some respect, okay? It is sad that Sanji don't do much and that he does get a little bit of some durability feats, but let's pay some respect. I can't really put my hands out too far in this area, but let's give a round of applause to Zoro that are putting in work and taking another step out ahead against Sanji in terms of growth moving forward this arc, in terms of obstacles faced. So, yeah, I mean, and it's kind of frustrating if you're a Sanji fanboy, because now we have Whiskey Peak. Let's go back to part 1. We have Arlong Park, Zoro taking a step out ahead against Sanji. We have Whiskey Peak, him taking a little bit of a step ahead against Sanji. However, casually demonstrating to us things that Sanji wouldn't be able to do until he demonstrates it in the Alabasta arc, that he was incapable of demonstrating to us in the Drum Island arc. And then Zoro in the Alabasta arc taking out another step ahead against Sanji in the midst of his fight. Not afterwards. We didn't have to wait and see. In the midst of his fight. I mean... Then we get and then the Skypea arc, Zoro taking out another step ahead out against Sanji. Sanji bridged the gap after Drum Island arc in the Alabasta arc, showing us that he was capable of doing the things that Zoro was doing in Whiskey Peak. However, we see Zoro grow right before our plain as day eyes in Alabasta, and then in Skypea puts in heavy work. He is doing some heavy lifting in the Skypea arc. So once again, Zoro taking a big step out ahead against Sanji. I mean, remember that Naruto Sasuke, the tree thing? Y'all remember old Naruto. Y'all remember old Naruto with the tree climbing, the katana. I mean, at this point, it's like it's like Sakura. No, we're not gonna go that far. I'm not gonna be disrespectful. It's like Naruto and Sasuke, and Zoro right now is Sasuke. I mean, he's putting up, he's getting ahead, and Naruto's catching up. It's like Sanji. Sanji keeps having to bridge the gap. So, that is the video. Leave a like or a dislike on this video. If you leave a like and move on, I appreciate you. Thank you for letting me know that I'm doing the right thing. If you leave a dislike and move on, thank you also for participating, for showing a form of support by showing me that I'm doing something wrong, at least somewhere, that there's still stuff I need to work on. I appreciate you. If you leave a dislike and go in and comment and say, man, your hair greasy. I just woke up. I came here to talk about One Piece. Why are you talking about the nonsensical stuff? I don't want to hear any of that, and of course I'm not going to engage with you in any pity arguments. However, if you do leave a dislike and you leave me a comment that is critical and lets me know, even if it's mean, a little bit mean. I mean, even if you're being brutally honest with you, I respect you and I appreciate that genuinely. So thank you very much to you for supporting me in your own, even though it's kind of negative, it's still a support and I appreciate that. Also, subscribe if you want to join the crew, the strongest crew from North Blue, coming in strong for more anime content, manga content, whatever I feel like posting content. And I hope to see you all in part 4 for the deep dive into Water 7 and Annie's lobby. Eat fruits, eat vegetables, drink water, drink coffee, get into it, eat some lean protein, get some exercise. And I hope you guys have beautiful, productive days. And see you in part 4.